available after the event. Just wanted to invite everybody. This, for all those who may not know, this is a webinar hosted by SAE4D, the South African Employers for Disability. It is an NPO that gathers organizations and corporate that want to make disability their business and want to be part of creating inclusion in the workspace and championing accessibility and disability inclusion into their ways of working and supporting their employees. So that's who we are. And so we normally share these webinars for also participating in with our diaspora and bringing new insights, but also sharing perspectives that are poignant, but from angles that many people may not see. So we are today, our webinar is around unveiling the unseen, which talks about invisible impairments. And last time, for those who joined in, our last webinar was around mental health. And we wanted to talk about the lived experiences of mental health, what corporates are doing really well, what the challenges that individuals with mental health conditions are struggling with, what businesses, what ways of working and company culture helped our speakers feel included. Sorry, my phone is buzzing. I thought I.
Hi, Abs.
Hello.
Sorry to interject, but we are not seeing the transcript, and I think for those who cannot
Oh,
hear,
shucks. You can't
they
see
will.
it.
No, we can't see it. Can you just go to click on more, then recording and transcript, and say start transcript?
Oh, perfect. There we go. There.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much, Hugh. Sorry, just want to see what to do with my phone. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. Um, so yes, I was talking about our last webinar on mental health, and that we were talking about how corporates create very helpful and welcoming and inclusive company culture and what worked. And so we started then realizing mental health fits in a broader category of disability related issues, and that's around invisible impairments and invisible disability and what people experience in the space, the challenges that we often face because our impairments are not, overt, and individuals can't meet us and identify that we have a certain impairment that creates a disabling environment. So, of course, when we are in the space, we are experiencing certain reactions, attitudes, biases based on a lack of awareness and understanding, but also ableist culture, which we've continuously lived in. Um, and so that made us think about invisible impairments and what corporates can do, but also what society can do and what they need to understand. And um, part of that is talking about the humanity of invisible impairments, right? We often like to talk about the workplace, but we actually don't talk about other elements around what your home life and how it impacts on your work life. So with the invisible part, we will be talking about how service dogs and assistive dogs can perform really helpful roles in assisting individuals with invisible impairments, being mental health, but also including others like epilepsy, autism. We talk about diabetes, and we get service animals that can help with all these conditions. And service animals can assist with the working culture and how an employee interacts with the rest of its colleagues in the working world. So that is what we will talk to in the one aspect. Then in the other aspect, we will talk about learning impairments, learning and intellectual and developmental impairments of children, particularly in South Africa. We will talk about the early response in terms of parenting and the involvement of parents. It's very important, like I said, to see that disability isn't just an individual thing, but that it pervades and affects a group of individuals, and so it affects family. But of course, it's the parents in the families who are working, and we want to talk about the dichotomy of being a parent who is parenting and has a child with a developmental learning and intellectual impairment, and still having to compete with a really demanding career. So we want to look at that in our second aspect. And the idea here is to try and get people to understand that disability is not a wheelchair sign. It isn't just a wheelchair, that there are various aspects of 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 what disability looks like and the dynamics of that. It is said that, and studies will show this, that individuals with impairments in general and who face disability are discriminated. And research shows that individuals with invisible um, impairments that experience disability are far more discriminated. And so you can tell it speaks to our lack of understanding, but also our approach and not understanding really what it is. And um, so we're really challenging the idea of what disability looks like. And so as we go into this, and before we start, I'd just like to um, ask each of you that if you know about invisible impairments, but you never knew that your colleague had an invisible impairment, how would that change how you spoke about individuals with disability and who experience disability? How would you change the way you talk about mental health? How would you change what you say about epilepsy or diabetes or the health of an individual? How would that change your approach, right? Because we can't really see, well, we don't see an invisible impairment. So how would that change you, right? It makes you step back and introspect. I could be offending and saying things and show a lot of my ableist actions and bias and stereotypes, and that could offend somebody I care about. And if your colleague or sister or cousin or somebody you just met has a child with a learning and developmental condition, how would that impact how you talk about it? How would employers support their employees, right? How would you ensure that the the employee benefits and programs support your employees who have thanks, Ayesha. Um, so how would that impact that relationship with your employees? Same with service dogs. Um, what would you create as a accessible culture? How would you ensure that service dogs are included, but also their reality is normalized, right? So that's where the discussion is going to fit in. I just need to change something. I just need to remove all these other. Okay, sorry. Okay, can I just do something? I want to have more visual on the screen, but I don't know if I press this arrow if it'll remove the transcription for everybody. So I'm just gonna try and gonna close it, and then please let me know if everybody else see the transcription. Can you guys see it?
So unfortunately, we're not seeing any transcription.
Okay, so let me then put it back. Okay, so it seems. Okay, now can you see it?
No, still not. There's no transcription
Unfortunately,
being
we are
displayed.
unable to transcribe. It doesn't allow me to do so.
I see the transcription.
Sorry, everyone. I think there's a setting that each person can do on their device. If you
Oh, it's
go on the
individual.
top, yeah, and you click on more, I think it should give you something about languages and stuff, and then you can turn it on there.
Yeah,
That's what
Oh,
I
so
did,
it's
yeah.
an
the
individual thing.
unfortunate part is when someone's recording, the person who's recording needs to enable transcription.
Okay.
We cannot enable transcription from our side, unfortunately.
Okay.
So
Sorry, but
Hugh,
on my side, I'm unable to actually. So when I go to record and transcribe, it allows me to record, but it doesn't allow me to start transcription. That's
so go to
grayed out.
languages and speech. Go to
So
languages and
so can you
speech.
stop recording and let somebody else try and record and enable transcription?
Unfortunately, it
Just
doesn't allow me at all, and I'm the only one that can record.
Okay,
so just see here. Just give us a second. Under language and speech, do you
Yes,
see turn on live captions?
I've currently got turn on live captions.
Okay. Can people see captions? Nasia is presenting and hers are on.
yes.
No, there's nothing coming through on our side.
Mine are on, but I did turn them on individually, so I'm not sure whether maybe it's the view, if one is looking that he has got it. And because I did say mine was not showing, but then I went on to more, and then I turned on live captions, and then I've got it now.
Okay. Can everybody please do that on their end, just in case it's an individual setting? I saw Haniki, you had your hand up.
No, just exactly that you said, you have to individually turn on your live captions. So under more, like you said, language and speech, and then click on turn off or turn on live captions. Then we can
Okay.
see the actual one from Nazia. Yeah.
Oh yes, excellent. I see it now. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so our two speakers that we will be being addressed by is Kalika Maurice, and she's the founder of Pause for Life Training Academy. And she has worked with service animals and training and animal behavior for quite a few years, about 10 years. Then our other speaker, Maimuna Chowgle, she will be talking about learning and intellectual impairments of children, particularly in South Africa. And so we would like to then start introducing our first speaker. Kalika is her by profession, she studied criminology, and through her work, she was experienced to a lot of traumatic events, but also in her personal life, then she then had an accident, and in the accident, she faced quite a lot of challenges. She developed memory loss, complex PTSD. There were other elements around speech impairments and mobility that she had to now consider. She really struggled for a while with that. Um, but because of her relationship with her dog at the time, Aiko showed propensities to innately assist Kalika with the mobility, with everything else she needed to do in the house, that Aiko could see that, okay, this is an adjustment that, I can fit in. And so Aiko started, you know, putting in and assisting Kalika in areas that she saw that were a shortcoming from her end. And so Kalika then studied animal behavior training, and she's certified in also animal behavior application. She got a diploma for that. She's quite experienced actually in animal behavior and training. And so service dog trainers are actually qualified, and animal behavior is one of the aspects, and the most important aspect for an animal behaviorist, who then would then train assistants, animals and dogs. So we would like to introduce her, and she will tell us a little bit more about service animals, the different types there are, um, what employers can do to support employees with service animals, and then talk about a variety of solutions for the social context, but also for the workplace. Kalika, I'd like to introduce you.
Thank you very much. Hope you guys are doing well this morning. I have a bit of sniffles, so if I sniff a lot or sneeze, please excuse me there. So yeah, we can start off with the first slide. So basically, this is just who we are. Pause for Life started back in 2015. We started as normal puppy training, going forward to protection training, tracking work, and then we started to develop after my accident, we started to develop training methods for service dogs specifically. As Abs has mentioned, we are qualified in all areas of animal behavior and also a little bit in human behavior. We specialized in abnormal psychology and profiling. So yeah, basically, we feel that people need to feel the benefit of having a strong bond with their dogs. At the end, please let me know who has experienced this kind of bond with their animals and who has experienced what their dog has mean to them. In most cases, a normal dog, pet dog, has shown some sort of support even when a person is feeling down or depressed. These dogs are there for them, and they show the support that is needed. We feel a dog is never just a dog. A dog is more than that. So there in the small picture, you will see 3 of my service dogs. So service dogs can come in all forms, all shapes, all sizes, big, small, you name it. So we have the little Daxi there that is Cleo. She is a psychiatric service dog. Then we have a Beagle Cross, which is a psychiatric service dog, and we have a Newfoundland who is also a psychiatric service dog. They are absolutely focused on me. We're on the beach there, and that's what we need from our service dogs. Next slide, please. All right, so just to explain a little bit the difference between a service dog and a therapy dog. So therapy dogs are not trained for a specific specialized reason. They are there to give companionship to people in hospitals, old age homes, schools, and we are seeing a new trend where people are allowing office dogs. So office dogs are people who bring their dogs, or it is a specific dog that stays in the office area, usually the CEO's dog, who stays in the office area and provides companionship, support where it is needed. Whereas service dogs are trained in specific fields and for specific individual and their needs. These dogs come with ID cards, specialized vests, showing they are trained and that they are specialized in their training. We have seen a lot of officers starting, especially in Cape Town, starting to incorporate service dogs for their personnel and trying to allow these dogs to be with their person. Um, so we are seeing a change in trends, but it's not fast enough. And there is some schools that will allow service dogs, but it's still few and far in between. And we definitely need more of those. Next slide, please. So there are different types of service dogs. Usually, most of the dogs that I train are for invisible impairments. So we have, first of all, the psychiatric alert service dog, hearing assistant service dog, seizure alert service dog, diabetic alert service dog, autistic support service dog. And then we have guide dogs, who is visible impairment. These dogs, I cannot train a guide dog. This is definitely for the Guide Dog Association. They've been going at it for quite some few years, and they're doing an absolutely wonderful job. Whereas my area is more for the invisible impairments. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, just go back to the previous slide. So this is Morrigan. He is the, or she is the Newfoundland that was in the previous picture. So Morrigan is an absolute sweetheart. She is a psychiatric service dog, and she definitely knows how to give deep pressure therapy. Her head is heavy enough to be able to do that. We do not allow her onto people because, yeah, she would definitely squish the people. But yeah, she's an absolute sweetheart and just a big teddy bear. Next slide, please. All right, so we're starting at psychiatric service dogs. Psychiatric service dogs are not an emotional support animal. Emotional support animals can be any type of animal. It can be a monkey, a horse, a snake, anything you can think of. We do not refer to psychiatric service dogs as emotional support animals. Even in public, we need to register our emotional support animals as psychiatric service dogs, or in the case of an animal that unfortunately will not be allowed. But yeah, dogs can be registered as psychiatric service dogs. So these animals are trained to specific criteria. They are trained to give deep pressure therapy. This is when you feel you're getting out of breath and you're struggling and anxiety is getting higher and higher and higher. These dogs are trained to pull you down into a sit or lie position, and then they place their bodies halfway over your diaphragm. You are then, they help to regulate your breathing by you are using your senses. So you feel them, you see them, you smell them, you feel their breathing on you, and that's how they regulate and calm you, so that you can start becoming relaxed and focus on your dog rather than what's going on around you. They are also trained to go and get help in situations, and also they are trained to help with specific tasks. So these dogs can help with going to get you some water, go and get you to go and fetch a medication. They're trained to go and get blankets, pillows, whatever the task is that you need as an individual. they can be trained for. So basically, just autism sort of falls under the field of psychiatric service dogs. These dogs are referred to as autism support dogs, and they can be a huge benefit for kids or even kids, older teenagers, and so on. These dogs for younger kids can be an anchor dog, where they help the kids to stay where they are needed and not run off with and go into different directions. And for all the kids, they can help with calming them during maths, definitely maths, and exams, and so on. So they are there to give that benefit to children all over. And that's why we need more awareness when it comes to school children with autism, and that service animals are allowed in more schools. So the benefits are huge for people with psychiatric mental health issues. So for example, people with depression who are struggling to get out of bed, they have to get out of bed if they have a service dog, because this dog will need them to go for a walk or go to potty. So these dogs are needed everywhere. They are also needed for people with anxiety, social anxiety, where they are sort of a companion for people going out into the world and who are struggling. So yes, definitely, psychiatric service dogs are a huge benefit to everybody. Next slide, please. So here we have diabetic alert service dogs. These dogs are trained to alert when a person is struggling with high or low blood glucose levels. They are specifically trained to go and get a medication or fruit or juice from a fridge. They are trained also to go and get help when the person needs the help. This helps people to know when their blood sugar is falling, when their blood sugar is going higher, and it just gives that reassurance to the person that there is another animal or another animal person there for them when they do need help, and that they do not have to stress when their blood glucose falls and they have to get what is needed for them. Next slide, please. Okay, so here we have epilepsy or seizure alert service dogs. These dogs do alert the person when a seizure is imminent by barking, pawing at the person. When a person does not react quick enough and they do go into a seizure, these dogs will crawl under their heads and allow the person to press with their head against the dog's body. The dog will, when the seizure has passed, the dog will go and get help, and also will get water and medication for that person. These dogs are a huge benefit for people with seizures. They know when a seizure is there, and they can get themselves ready when they know a seizure is imminent, so that they don't fall and hurt themselves when a seizure is about to happen. Okay, next slide, please. All right. So there are other types of service dogs as well. You do get dogs who can smell like peanuts. So people with peanut allergy or nut allergies, there are dogs in that case that can help. Dogs that smell out gluten in food. Dogs that can know when there is high or low blood pressure. and also for traumatic brain injuries. So for myself, I have experienced a traumatic brain injury. I had severe memory loss. I still do. I have speech problems, which I still do. And I have balance issues. So for me, a service dog helps me to steady myself when I do feel I'm losing balance. They help me to get up when I do fall and steady myself when I feel unbalanced and there is a bit of a falling issue at that stage. They have helped me when I don't remember things by going to fetch something for me. Um, so yes, for myself, they have had a huge impact on my life. I wouldn't have been able to do what I do without them. Next slide, please. So for invisible impairments and disabilities, people feel alone. They feel that nobody understands them. They feel they look perfect, but they have that invisible disability. And people don't understand that. People can be very obnoxious and very arrogant when there is a service dog nearby. I've had a client who has experienced people throwing shoes at their service dog just because they do not understand what a service dog is. I've had a client who has been pinned down to the ground with a dog next to her just because people did not understand service dogs. So yes, there is huge discomfort and huge arrogance about service dogs. And through education and awareness, we can definitely help all people to be able to enjoy life and be able to go out and not have social anxiety and not feel that they don't have a hand on their sugar or on their autism or even on their seizures. So definitely, these dogs provide comfort and support to all of us. Next slide, please. So these dogs go through a whole lot of education, testing, to make sure when they do go out in public that they will be correct and they won't react to anything. So they go through different levels of basic obedience, service dog training, public access training. They need to be qualified in a Kuza Canine Good Citizen test. So yeah, they go through a lot of testing. They go through service dog testing and public access testing. So there is no need to be afraid of these dogs. These dogs are trained. They are able to be out in public and they would not really show any aggression towards anybody. They are there to help their person. Next slide, please. All right, so that's me. Thank you very much for giving me the chance to show what service dogs can do. There's my email and WhatsApp number if you ever do need to get hold of me. And if you have any questions, just pop me an email and I will get back to you guys. So we're going to have a question and answer right now. If you guys have...
Just before that.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Kalika.
Awesome.
I'm having what's it called? Feedback. Okay, it sounds okay now. So thank you so much for sharing your presentation. I think a lot of us have learned a lot about service dogs, their nature, why we need them. I know you're a service dog handler and user as well, and I am too. my guy is Siddy. He is a cross Ratsdecker Terrier, an Australian cattle dog. I've had him since he was 8 months. He's 7 years old now, and he's been phenomenal for me. Because I was also diagnosed with complex PTSD, and initially he was. I'm sure you talked about multi-purpose. Well, I
Yeah.
think that's a term, but multi-purpose service dogs. And when I first received him, he was helping me feel safer in space, to help me get distance away from people. So if people came too close, he'd move and just sort of muzzle them, just to give me space, and signal to me that somebody's getting close. So, I need to move to a more spacious place. And he also helped me navigate the environments that we used, the routes that we used, the shops. So he's also really great when we go shopping. He knows all the shops that we go to. And so, for example, in Killarney Mall, when we walk into Killarney Mall, I can just say to him, find the Woolworths. And from the entrance of the mall, he knows where the Woolworths is. So he's phenomenal. And of course, because of complex PTSD, I also sometimes need a lot of assistance with getting over performance anxiety. So that's another element he assists me with. And you were talking about, dogs helping you to get up in the morning. Well, he's great at that. He usually will, if I'm not alone in my house, he'll usually call other people to wake me up if I don't wake up, because, he knows I may take a while, but then he calls a human, and humans are not as gentle as he is. But also, he'll sit on me, or, pull the blankets, and helps me find my glasses or my phone. So he's really great in many ways. So I know that in the beginning, service animals weren't well known, and the development started with guide dogs, right? And back then, they used to call them eye-seeing dogs. And that was in like 1930s. And then 50 years later, it became known that they could actually help individuals with deafness. So they were hearing assistant dogs and hearing alert dogs. And just after that, they were then, mobility assistant dogs, then, were known. And so since 2001, research also shows that a lot more diverse needs of service dogs are needed. So like you spoke about autism support, diabetes alert service dogs. And I think a lot of us may not have had exposure. And so before we get into your question and answer session, we'd just like to share a video for everybody to see what our everyday life looks like, what good etiquette is, but also what we need, and how we see our service dogs in our lives, not just a dog, but a full life companion, So I really think this video will show exactly what you were talking about really well. And so I'm going to go ahead and share it. Then right after this,
Abs, you put yourself on mute.
Sorry, you've just put yourself on mute.
oh, that's weird. Okay. Sorry, I think my software was doing something weird there. Thanks. So yes, while we're watching the video, if you want to just type out some questions in the chat, or get ready to ask your questions. And then if you are, like I said, visually impaired, then just shout out and we'll note you. And then you can raise your hands, and yeah, we'll get going with that session. Nasia, can I share?
Absolutely. Just don't forget to include your sound.
Okay. Include. Okay, got it. Okay. Alrighty. I don't know how this thing must disappear. Just go here. Okay, here we go. Sorry for the individuals with visual impairment. Maybe I should do this first. Okay, so the video is about a gentleman and his service dog, Ben, who's a golden retriever, and they are going into a train station. So in the beginning, he will speak to talk about basically what we need. Then in the video, there will be a time where he goes and registers and gets his boarding pass. There will also be a time where he is met with an individual who works in the train station. So there are also slides to introduce the various aspects. What I will do is I will pause every time there's something on the screen so that you know what section is being covered. And in the end, I will then read out the various images, like little messages, that show up, but they aren't read. They are just, there's music in the background and they are just shown. So I will do that if that's okay. I'm gonna get started with the video. Oh, wait, sorry. Okay, there we go.
Oh, so you're blind? How can you be a service dog? He's so little.
So, what's your problem?
Telling someone you can't be here prior to inquiring about why this dog is there is quite invasive and confrontational.
They accept you, but they're annoyed. They treat you like you're an inconvenience.
It's like being called a fake.
We need to do better than we have in the past.
Just ask, is that a service dog?
So the first slide is customer care for service animals in trains. Next one is ask the right questions gently, not confrontationally.
In a situation where, as a service provider, if you're concerned about whether this dog is allowed in this establishment, I would ask that you try not to approach me with a standoffish tone. Telling someone you can't be here prior to inquiring about why this dog is there is quite invasive and confrontational. So if